How's it going, everybody? This video was filmed exclusively live on odds.com. The Diehard MMA podcast can be seen. The full replay. We talk about UFC Vegas 16 from top to bottom with my special guest, Dan Levi, over on odds.com. Click the link below to check it out. Third fight up, we have got a featherweight tilt between Ilia Topuria and Damon Jackson. Man, I want to go ahead and kick this one over to you. I'll let you lead off. Tell me about this fight a little bit.
I love this kid Topuria. I mean, I like all the fighters coming out of Georgia, and I'm not talking about Georgia where I'm from here in ATL. I'm talking about Georgia over there next to Russia. You know what I mean? And I think that this kid Topuria is another one of their bright up-and-coming prospects. You know, I cashed on him. I don't remember what the number was. Maybe like either plus 140 to plus 160 range in his last fight, man, against Zalal, who was a very high prospect at the time. And I was very impressed with that performance for a variety of reasons. I mean, obviously, when you cash an underdog and he goes out there and dominates the fight, that should be good enough, but it wasn't good enough. And I'll tell you why. Because this is a guy who had never been the distance prior to that. So he goes out there now. He proved to me he can go 3 hard rounds. And I saw his fight prior to the Zalal fight. He was in there with a guy that was 6'1", Clint. He got dropped with a head kick. And right then and there, he could have covered up. He could have let the ref intervene, and none of us would have held it against him. We would have been like, hey, you're 5'7". You went in there with a 6'1" opponent. First L time, no big deal. You'll bounce back better. He gets back up. He charges that guy. He knocks him out in the first round. So that to me is the sign of a guy that can overcome adversity. Then he takes his UFC debut on a week short notice and absolutely dominates the law, but dominates him to the point where like he got tired from whooping his ass. Like, you know what I mean? Like he got tired from submission attempt after submission attempt, takedown after takedown, and he still had the wherewithal to get that last takedown in the final minute of the fight, stay on top. These are the kind of guys I like to invest in, man. He's taking on someone in Damon Jackson, who I got a lot of respect for. You know, he had a previous UFC stint. He's very experienced. He's, you know, LFA, PFL. He's been everywhere. UFC back in the day. Yep. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, trains out of Fortis MMA. Damon Jackson's a guy I got a lot of respect for. I see this being similar to his fight against Bektic, minus Damon Jackson winning the fight. You know, I think that what's going to happen is that Topuria's got actually he can take this in 2 different approaches. The first approach is he can go the Mirsad Bektic route, which is mixing takedowns at will. Just don't, you know, get caught in a guillotine. Don't leave your neck out there. I'm sure he knows that by now. Because the thing with Mirsad, how many times have we seen Mirsad pull a stunt, man? Whether it's the Chas Skelly fight, which, by the way, if the Chas Skelly fight was under today's rule set, that would have been a second-round TKO for Chas Skelly. But back then, it wasn't, so they deducted a point, and you remember what happened. The Darren Elkins fight, that was a stunt. Josh Emmett fight, I know he's one of the hardest hitters, but he got knocked out by a jab. And even against Dan Ige. So there's been so many spots where you're just like, because I know you remember people used to hype up Mirsad Bektic like he was going to be, you know, the second coming of Christ, like he was going to be the next world champion, this and that. So
he's the next GSP, man. Everyone said it.
When you saw the strike numbers in that fight, because for some reason, if you go on UFC stats right now, it says something like 13 to 12, but you need to look a little bit deeper into it about what the actual because it says 13 to 12, but it's talking significant strikes. But the actual reality of it was 76 to 20. So he actually went out there and put up a serious strike differential against Damon Jackson. It's just that we know what happens when Mirsad gets tired. He pulls stunts. This has been happening for years. Pre-USADA, post-USADA, whatever the case may be. This kid, Ilia Topuria, is not going to come out here and pull a Mirsad Bektic. And listen, I said he's got the path to victory going out there, you know, mixing in repeated takedowns. But you know what else is a path to victory for him? He can come out here and test his stand-up too, Clint. Absolutely. He can come out here and try to knock this guy out, try to get another knockout on the reel. So I like Ilia Topuria. I thought that the opening line minus 170 was short. I still think it's short. I think it should be upwards of minus 300. I like Topuria a lot. I think he's a very bright prospect, and look out for these guys coming out of Georgia.
I agree, man. I am right there with you. And people that have been listening to the Diehard MMA podcast know we are all Team Georgia, man. I am high on these people. They are tough angry, mean people that come out of Georgia, and they make perfect fighters. I'm really excited about these prospects, and I couldn't really add anything to that breakdown, man. You absolutely crushed it. The only thing is I left myself a little note that Damon Jackson was dominated by Bektic until Bektic pulled a Bektic. Like, that guy just finds ways to lose fights these days. And Ilia Topuria is not that guy. So I'm right there with you. I like him as a favorite. And honestly, I'm getting more comfortable with laying chalk. That's something that I feel like I've had to kind of sift into my game a little bit more. And I'm getting more and more comfortable with it lately. But I'm looking at potentially parlaying Ilia Topuria, because I think you're right. I think he wins this fight anywhere as long as he stays safe on the mat, and his submission defense is on point. I don't think he's going to give up some kind of a fluky submission to Damon Jackson. And like you said, if he wants to, they should keep this fight on the feet, and he'll be able to box this guy up for a full 15 minutes if he wants to. So I'm right there with you. I like Ilia Topuria.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as, this chalk thing, it shouldn't be about chalk or not chalk. It should be about the spot. I do have a saying that don't bet chalk unless it's a lock. You look at a spot like Miguel Baeza last week, minus 155. Yeah. I mean, come on. He should have been minus 255. He should have been minus 300, minus 400. So spots like that, I mean, value is value, period, point blank. I mean, I remember, and I'm mostly an underdog guy, but I remember there was a spot between Raoni Barcelos and Carlos Hauchin, which is probably one of the biggest mismatches in the history of the sport. And I bet Barcelos there minus 320. Okay. He should have been minus 3,020. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter. It's all about, is there value on the spot or not? Yeah. So I wouldn't look at it as, oh, it's chalk, I can't bet it, or oh, it's a dog. No, is there value or not? Period.
It's a good way to approach it, man. You got an absolute point there. Something's going a little funky with the camera here for some reason. I'm going to pull you out of the stream and pop you back in. Sometimes StreamYard's a little finicky. Every once in a while, that'll fix it up and get rid of it. So I'm going to let it settle there. Good read, man. I like the way you think, and you're absolutely right. Like I said, that's something that okay, for everybody watching, I haven't given my speech for a little while. Your boy's not a professional sports bettor. I've never claimed to be. I put on a fun, entertaining podcast. I'm a dad bod who loves MMA. So tail at your own risk. I'm just going to give you as much information as I can, let you know what I think are good spots. So the evolution of my betting game is still very much happening live on camera in front of everybody. And that's why I was saying I'm getting comfortable with laying chalk, because you know how it is, man. Casual bettors, you want to lay one to win one. You want to lay one to win plus 250. Like, that's just so much sexier from a casual perspective. And I'm starting to learn how to sack up and find those situations where you got to lay minus 250. You got to lay minus 300. Because like you said, if the true odds should be minus 700, then there's value at minus 500. And that's something that I'm just starting to integrate into my betting game. And I'm looking forward to seeing where it takes me.
Keep it up, man. You're doing a good job. Yeah, just all I care about is winning, period.
Shout out to Rockstar Z hanging out in the house. We had Will Martin that popped in earlier. We've got some OGs in the game here tonight.